here, and next week they're offering us facility for a seance, which we'll tell you about later. And thank you again. Now we can send everybody here. You better be busy all week. Thank you. You can hang on to that. We want to welcome everybody. We've already met them. This is Debbie Hardeen Bloom and her daughter. Debbie's father was Harry Houdini's brother.
Correct.
He was Hardeen, and we'll tell you about more later. You've already heard that we discovered only not too long ago. Houdini and his family came here from Appleton, Wisconsin, where they lived earlier, and they settled right here upstairs at the boarding house, Mrs. Leffler's boarding house. And we didn't know about that until fairly recently, but in one of Houdini's diaries, he mentioned that in 1916, which is many years later, he came to visit Mrs. Leffler right here. He didn't eat at the restaurant because we weren't able to. Hungarian food is not as great. I know I'm Hungarian. At any rate, it's a very, very wonderful place to be, and we have some pictures after the event that's over, of pictures of Harry and all his brothers who came to live here. And, so now I want to explain what Magic Week is all about. Harry Houdini died on Halloween in 1926. He was president of the Society of American Magicians for 9 years, 1917 on. He made a society which began here in New York. He made it a national institution. Up until 1917, we were only in New York, 1902 to 1917. When Harry died, it was a great loss to the magic community and to the world. He was a very, very great man. And he was responsible for many things that we are doing today. In honor of Harry, we celebrate his death, the anniversary which he died on 1:26 in the afternoon in 1926 on Halloween. Halloween is when we generally would go to the grave, but we don't do that because the gravesite out in Field Lake Cemetery is a very holy place. We don't want people coming in costumes and things like that. So now we do the ceremony on the anniversary of his death on the Jewish calendar, which is a date, and that date comes out in November this year. We're not going to announce it officially because we don't want anybody but our regular members and family. And Dad, would you like to say something now? Sure. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce Ms. Carolyn Maloney, who is our Assemblywoman.
Congresswoman.
Oh, that's even better.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, George. And I am honored to represent the 12th Congressional District, which is the home of finance, the home of journalism, the home of communications, parts of Broadway, the arts, so many things. It's also the center and home of magic, because Houdini lived here in New York, did his greatest work in New York, and is considered the greatest magician that ever lived. They still talk about his tremendous feats. He turned it into an incredible, really art form. And he began his life right here in this building. And I thank Sammy for not only hosting this today, but putting up this beautiful plaque of Houdini. You can see from his face how charismatic he was. And the stories about Houdini go on and on and on. I personally believe that he decided to die on Halloween so that we would never forget. And he died on what is probably the most magical day of the year. So we are here today to remember him, to pay tribute to him, to put this plaque here, to take part of his legacy and move it forward with special foods that we will be provided here, and really to prepare for Halloween and the seance that will take place here. It is a very important seance that I understand magicians come from around the world to be there. We're so honored to have his great niece, is that the great title?
Yes.
Great niece. She is descended from Houdini's brother. And Houdini's brother was in many ways his partner. And I think she has a lot of that charisma in her face that he had. So I'm here today to just thank the neighborhood for recognizing him. He was important. He still remains really the inspirational leader, I would say, of magicians. And we even have his broken wand. So we have his handcuffs, his broken wand, and really the place that he began his life here in the great city of New York. It's very befitting that the greatest city in the world has the greatest magician lived here, the greatest magician of all times, and today we're celebrating the 90th remembrance of his death here in New York City. So thank you so much.
We're also blessed that we have our state senator,
Thank you.
Kura, who wants to say a few words.
Certainly.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Well, I'm delighted to be here also. I sometimes joke that all of New York City is just 2 degrees of separation. So I want to point out a few of those today. One, I've lived right around the block on 78th Street for almost 30 years. I didn't know about Houdini's history right here in this building, I think until yesterday. I was sitting in that little booth having brunch 2 weekends ago. So not only am I delighted to be supporting a neighborhood business, I'm really excited. There's going to be so many Hungarian foods brought into your menu. Because when I moved to this neighborhood 30 years ago, it was dotted with Hungarian shops and Hungarian restaurants, and people still talked about it as Little Hungary. And there's just very little of that left. So the fact that the correlation between the history of this amazing magician and his history as a Hungarian immigrant can tie into more Hungarian food and identity in this neighborhood is great. And as I told his great niece when I just met her, I even learned today on the way down that my staffer who's joined me actually played in a movie where he killed Houdini, and he's very sorry about it. But in fact, it wasn't real, it was just film magic. So it's just wonderful to be here with all of you to honor the history of this amazing magician and to tie back in all the things that make us New Yorkers, where we're all related in our own way. So, and thank you all to the magicians who keep the energy and the challenge and the mystery of Houdini alive every day in the work you do. So thank you very much.
My family came from Hungary, and Paprikash Weiss, are they still around? Very famous. They used to shop here.
Yes,
We
they
had
love
food.
Paprikash Weiss.
Still around? When I was a kid, that was all. We have also very pleased to introduce our New York State Chairman, Trudy Mason.
Hi, I live right around the corner, so I have come to SoJourn many times. I know about a lot of historic places in Yorkville. I did not know until I got a call from Sammy that this was, Houdini was here. We also have in Yorkville, in the old Yorkville, I thought of this as coming over, another very famous person who lived here was James Cagney, Jimmy Cagney, the actor. And I just wonder if Cagney and Houdini ever met. We'll never know, but wouldn't that be a wonderful combination?
We could find out.
Maybe we can find out. Yeah. We can at Seance. We can ask if he knew Jimmy Cagney, or maybe have Jimmy. But whatever it is, this neighborhood, this area, is both Hungarian, German, Eastern European. It's lost a lot of its flavor, but by having this remembrance here, it's bringing back a little bit of the old days. So Sammy, thank you, magicians, and thank you all for being here.
The Society of American Magicians, after Houdini died, decided we should recognize him some way. So they set up a magic day, which was Halloween. And again, it brought people with costumes and makeup. We decided that wasn't good. So we set up Magic Week, so that every single year, October 25th to the 31st, the Society of American Magicians, and all magicians, not just ours, recognize it, and we do all year round, we do events for the public. And this is the week we take our bows and we get our press. During the year, we don't say anything, we're quiet. We represent many places. The sign back there, the Children of Promise is one of our events. We have a whole list of places and people that we're doing this week. And if you take a look at it, there are many things going on from now all until Halloween and throughout the year. Anyway, that's Magic Weekend. Society of American Magicians started in 1902 right here in New York. Harry became a member in 1908, and he didn't like the idea that he wasn't the king. So in 1909, they made him an honorary member. He never paid dues after that one. We should accrue the interest. And so he was our very famous magician. We have enough things. We can talk about the graves. There's some pictures here and the pictures here. Houdini's grave is very, very famous. There are 14 people, 14 graves there. Actually, 24 are kept and preserved, but they were only going to use the 14 that they had. And every famous relative of his is buried there. We'll talk about that in a moment. I did want to. Would you like to say something?
Yes.
This is
Yes.
Hardine's granddaughter.
Yes.
Hardine's daughter. You're the granddaughter.
She's the granddaughter. You're the
I'm the
granddaughter.
granddaughter.
Deborah
Great
Bloom.
granddaughter.
I'm Deborah
Deborah
Houdini.
Hardine Bloom.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, sure. You know, first I want to say thank you. Thank you for including me. It's funny, it was just recently that I realized I was invited to come, and I was a little hesitant because my brother said, well, I think you should go. He was unable to come. So I thought about it, and then next morning, I said, George, and he goes, Debbie, you're going. I've already told them. So I said, what? I don't know what I'm getting into. So then he said, well, you do have to do a talk. So as I was driving down, thank you for the driver, as I was driving down from my home in Connecticut, I was getting texts, all these texts of all the speeches and everything I was supposed to say. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, and I'm reading them, and I'm calling John, and you gotta print them out, I need this. And as I was sitting here, standing here thinking, I could tell you the facts. You're all magicians and you know the history. You've read the books. I actually spent my last Saturday going to the library, finding as many books as I could about Houdini, and reading, and reading, and reading, and my eyes were spitting, and the facts were just flowing. And then it came Tuesday night, and I'm thinking, Debbie, you're going to speak, and you're going to tell them everything that they know. So, okay, I figured out I'm going to tell them a story, how I connect, and I connect to Houdini, and especially to Theo, my granddad. So, let me tell you the story. I was about 11, 12, and I lived up in Connecticut. We had moved up there, and it was a fall afternoon after school, and my mom had asked me to go and get the mail from the mailbox. So I went off and got the mail out of the mailbox, and as I was walking down the driveway, I was flipping through the mail, and there was this envelope, and it said, Harry Houdini Hardini. Now, I was a kid that had read about Houdini in school, and I also had read about Babe Ruth, and I had also read about Abe Lincoln. So there was real no connection to me, but it was puzzling me. Why did it say in my dad's name, Harry Houdini Hardini? So I went into the house and I said, Mom, why is it addressed to Harry Houdini Hardini? Well, she said, that's something you're going to have to talk to your daddy about. So he'll be home soon from the office. So he came in and he settled in and he went into his study as he always did and read the paper. And in the meantime, I had gone into my brother's room and I said, George, look at what I discovered. Look at this envelope. It says Harry Houdini Hardini. You know who he is? And my brother said, well, yeah, I know a little bit about it. So we're like dying to know. It's our interest. So Dad settled in and I went in with the envelope. And I said, Dad, I have something to ask you. Yeah, okay. He put the paper down. And I said, why does this envelope say Harry Houdini Hardini? And he looked at me and he said, well, sit down. It's a story I have to tell. So he told us about the connection. And he told us, we knew, I only knew Theo for a few years because he died when I was quite young. So we knew Theo a little bit, but I never knew Houdini. So he told us about the family and the connection, and we were kind of in awe, and he told us who they were, that they were world famous, and he told us a little bit of what they did, and we just chatted. And then my brother, being my brother, wanted to know, well, were they super, like Superman, because he was able to do these tricks? And my dad said, no, they were just ordinary people that loved their families. But they were people that would work hard. They were hard workers. And what they would do, both Harry and Theo, would, for instance, they would, knowledge was their base word, and they would study. And my dad said they would take a lock, and they would pick it apart, and they would pull it apart, know all the mechanisms. And they wouldn't just study one lock, they would study every lock. And they would study it, and study it, and study it. And then they would develop the picks, and they would practice. The other word that I grew up with was
practice. So I had to know knowledge, and I knew it, and practice. And he said they would practice and practice and practice. And he goes, it was amazing, but they worked hard at what they did all of the time. And Houdini is known for that. I mean, he was a very loving man, and he loved to talk to the people that he would perform for. You know, he wouldn't get into like first class seats. He would take the third class. He would stay with the people so he could talk to them. He was quite a guy, as was Theo. So my dad would say they would practice, and then my brother, of course, asked the next question. Well, Dad, why did you keep it a secret from us? Here we are 12 years old. Why didn't you tell us before? So Dad looked at us, and in a very quiet way, he said, I'll tell you why. Because you would go and tell your friends that you were related to Houdini. And there would be people that wouldn't believe you. And they would question you. And he goes, and that would be difficult for you. So he was, in a sense, protecting us. And I don't know why he was protecting us. Maybe he had some unkindness happen to him as he was growing up. So he was a very private person. So then, you know, we went off and we had dinner. And the amazing thing is, all my life, ever since I was a little one, my daddy would perform, I know it's performance now, he would perform these little hand maneuvers on the table while my mother would be serving dinner. And we would laugh, and we nicknamed all these little maneuvers. We had one name of Bumple Laddie, and we had another, you know, for these little maneuvers, and we'd ask him to do these little maneuvers. And the truth of the matter was, this was something that his father had done, Theo, in order to practice, to keep his fingers nimble and loose. He would take coins, and he would roll the coins across his knuckles, and he'd be able to roll them back and forth. And this is what he would do, I guess, at dinner time, too. So it was entertaining, and it kept the kids quiet. So, you know, that was something I was able to connect. Oh, yeah, Dad always did this. So now this is a connection that I made to Theo. So, you know, it's interesting, all these little connections. And I could go on, because I have thought about it. And I want to thank you, because coming here really made me review a lot of my life connected to Houdini. And I know he is with us here and probably enjoying the fact that I am connected. So, you know, I do want to thank you. I could have gone on. I have things that I could have read, but I chose no to make it more personable. So it's been an interesting morning. I've only been here a few minutes, and I expect it to get better and better as the day goes on. So thank you so much.
We have some pictures of Houdini here with us. For people who don't know, the Houdini brothers were the famous magicians in their time, before Harry Houdini even got married, before he became a very famous magician. Yeah. And all of them lived upstairs.
Actually, in some of the research, I found that they did some trapeze arts.
Oh, there's a long history. You can go on.
So, and
more magic books have been written about Harry Houdini than anything else other than fun. You talked about handcuffs. I have one of the collectors who were unable to make it today, sent this over here. This was a set of handcuffs that Houdini and Houdini used.
This is where they do all these tricks.
And this is a very unique. This one has a key. They would take the key away, and he would still get out of this. Maybe afterwards we show you, not this one, but how important it is to escape. And this is a very, very important. We got a private guard to get this in here. Very valuable, and there's a meeting. Collectors will have to return it. Just very shortly, I'm going to wind up with Houdini's grave is at the McPeeler Cemetery in Glendale, Queens. You're welcome to visit any time except Friday night and Saturday, which is the Sabbath. Just go in. There are pictures of it here. You can see a marker where all the family is buried, and please look through them. And when Houdini died, it was such a great loss to us, he decided to make something special. And so a ceremony was put together to honor him, but the ceremony at his death was very long, religious, and we shortened it over the years. We'd like to show you what that ceremony is, which is done at the death of every magician who is a member of our society, International Brotherhood, and I'm going to read that. This is a wand that's given to every member as you become a member. This is the ceremony that is performed when a magician dies. It's with deep humility and genuine pride that I assume a role in this service. come as the Dean of the Society of American Magicians, a humble spokesman of its members, friends, and friends of Harry Houdini. One we talked with yesterday is silent today. A friend we walked with has gone on without us. We shall miss and remember him. No greater tribute can be paid to anyone than this. And he lives on in the hearts and minds of his friends. Come here, Houdini. When you were initiated in the Society of American Magicians, you were presented with a wand, this ancient emblem of mystery. It symbolized the magic power that was yours as you used it with your knowledge of magic secrets and your skill in its exemplification. Now, its power is gone. It's a mere stick, devoid of all meaning and authority, useless without your hand to wield it. Brothers and sisters, come here. May the broken wand symbolize our submission to the mandate of the Supreme Magician, to whom all secrets are known, even of life and death. Into the surety of his love, we will commit to keeping the love over. Thank you very much for attending. Any information you'd like, we'll be around to talk about it. We'll take questions during lunch. We'll even do some magic for you if you wish. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you guys. We have some food for everyone here now. My chef, I believe, is the best chef in New York City, probably.